Hi, I'm Sister Bliss from Faithless. I'm right here at Blackpool Festival, hanging out with Skiddle.
Okay, I'm here at the Blackpool Festival speaking to Sister Bliss from Faithless. It's great to be here with you. Obviously, Faithless have been around now 20 plus years. What is it you think about the music that you've created as a band that has managed to resonate with people for so long?
Wow, that's a good question. I guess it's a combination of things. I think perhaps we didn't always slavishly follow the sound of the moment, so somehow those records have become a bit more timeless and things that often sound very much of an era. That's a lot to do with drums, actually. Like, you know, you hear a big Phil Collins drum fill and you know it's a sort of 80s big kind of power ballad. And maybe there's something about Faithless that has transcended that, maybe. Perhaps it's just the drums, but hopefully it's a mix of melody, meaning, the way music can soundtrack really pivotal times in your life. I think in a way, back then we didn't have the internet, we didn't have mobile phones, so you really were in the experience. And, you know, from what people tell me, Faithless was the background to a lot of people's, you know, seminal dance music experiences. At raves and beyond, you know.
Did you feel at the time when you were making the music, you were like, yeah, you think it was going to last 6 months, a year, or did you know you had something that was always going to be like such a huge part of so many people's lives?
No, you can never know. Absolutely. We just did what we wanted to do and had a lot of fun and really had very low expectations, which were kind of confirmed when our first album, Reverence, it only sold 16 copies a week for really quite a long time, and that was so exciting. Like, who are these 16 people that have bought the record? And it was quite mind-blowing. It wasn't until nearly a year later Insomnia started to become a hit in Europe, and we actually had to re-release it before it became a big hit in the UK, and then it seems to have kind of stuck in people's minds and playlists ever since. But we just could never have known. We only ever even wrote that particular song to balance the other big dance tune on the album, which was Salvamere, and we conceived Reverence as a mixtape, you know, that you'd give to your friends with a great reggae track on and a great chill out track and a great dance track, you know, and it had an A and a B side, and Insomnia was actually the sort of, if you like, the balancing act on the B side. But it was that opened the doors to us really touring the world and having a platform to release subsequent albums, and, you know, obviously going on a musical journey as we did so. But none of it we could have anticipated. No idea it was going to happen.
So obviously you talk about when Reverence was selling, you know, like a handful of copies a week or whatever, and obviously you got much bigger than that. When was the point where you thought, you know what, fucking hell, we have made it? You know, was there a single moment in time? Because when I think of Faithless, I always think of when you played the Pyramid and, you know, you had that huge crowd, and that to me always seems like kind of like the defining moment. But did you have that realization before that, then, like, yeah, we're well 100% in this, or was that kind of like your peak?
Oh, I hope we haven't peaked yet. No, I think, playing Glastonbury at Pyramid Stage, was that 2002, was it? Was it 2000? I can't remember now, but it was us and Coldplay, so it was a big deal. And I have to say that night kind of made both bands. I think we played so well that raised their game as well. It was an outstanding, amazing night, and I think you're right, in some way it paved us to becoming a little bit more of a household name. And we've always operated outside the mainstream, and it's not pop music, and of course we're well known in dance circles, but, you know, a lot of people know the music but couldn't put a sort of face to the name, if you like. But I think one of the first times we realised that we were actually half decent was hearing ourselves on German radio whilst Insomnia was rocketing up the charts in Europe. And we'd only played a handful of shows, and suddenly we were playing to 5,000 people in a Mercedes factory before the Fugees. They had the #1 record, and suddenly we were at #2. And it was just insane. We'd never heard ourselves before. And someone got a cassette, this is how long ago it was, put it on the tour bus, and we're like, God, we actually sound all right, don't we? So that was a bit of a kind of wake-up call that the band was a serious thing.
Okay, that's good to know. Obviously, you know, people who are going to be watching this video are going to be thinking one thing: is there any new music coming from Faithless, either individually, separate projects, or collectively as a band?
There is indeed, yes. We're right in the middle of writing a new album, so very excited about that, and going to be start putting music out this year. I'm hoping. So just fine-tuning at the moment and road testing.
Is there anything you can tell us in terms of the sound? Is it going to be very typical, obvious, classic Faithless, or are you branching out into different areas?
Is it going to be classic Faithless? There's definitely, well, what can I say? We're very lucky in that we haven't pigeonholed ourselves. It's sort of broadly electronic for sure, and certainly there's some tunes that we want to be a bit of a yes, we're back kind of statement. But as ever with Faithless, it's not pigeonholed in one space.
And the other question, obviously, does that mean that we're going to see you live as a band pushing that music out again?
I'd love to think so, but it's not up to me. So watch this space. Hopefully we'll be back on tour again. It would be an amazing thing.
Okay, what thoughts?
Yeah, I do, but it's a good thing to also play lots of new music as well.
So I'm jumping away from taking the mic from you. One thing we can definitely see you this summer, though, is playing at festivals. So you've got sets that I know of at Creamfields and Bessable. Where else can we see you DJing?
There's lots of gigs all over Europe. There's up on my Faithless Facebook page. There's dates all over the place. Quite mad. I'm doing a boat cruise from Barcelona to Ibiza, which is chock full of DJs, which I've never done before. Next week I'm off to the Faroe Islands, which is somewhere up near Iceland. So escaping the heat wave, and then all over Europe, everywhere in between, lots of different ones. So yeah, it's been a really good summer so far, and can't complain about the weather. Not a drop of rain to be seen.
Hopefully it's going to stay that way for the rest of the summer. Then the final question I want to ask, obviously you've been DJing for 25 plus years. What kind of music are you into now? Sort of as a DJ, and so when someone goes to a Faithless DJ set, what can they expect sonically?
Well, all the Faithless classics. Obviously it'd be rude not to, but I love to mix it up with music that's pretty current and contemporary. I've got a radio show called Sister Bliss in Session, so it keeps me on top of new music. So I'm always playing with my set and trying to put stuff in that, if you like, references the past but also looks forward. It's what I've always done as a DJ, and new music excites me massively.
It's the best way, isn't it? Bit mix of the old and the new. Thanks so much for taking us, Sister Bliss.
Thank you, Skiddle.